It can be really difficult to understand Disney Genie Plus, but I'm going to simplify it for you. And after that, I'm going to tell you how I use it to ride every ride that I want to at Walt Disney World. Disney is not one of those vacation destinations where you can just sit back, relax, and still get to experience everything they have to offer. If you don't plan your park days out just right, you're probably going to miss out on some things. You may come home and find out that there was something really cool that they had to offer that you didn't even know existed. First things first, you need to go on the My Disney Experience app and look at all the lists of the things that they have to offer. They have rides, attractions, dining options, character meet and greets, and so much more. And right on the My Disney Experience app, you can go to each park and look at a list of what they have. Once you know what they have to offer, you'll have a good idea of the things that interest you and what you want to do on your trip. So go through and make a list of the things that sound interesting to you or the people you're traveling with. Once you have your list of must-dos, go ahead and figure out which attractions are the most popular because they're going to fill up really quick. We need to put those at the top of your list. For example, at Magic Kingdom, Big Thunder Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and Jungle Cruise are always very busy. Without Genie Plus, you could waste over an hour in each of those lines. That's 3 hours of your day. The best way to do this is to get on My Disney Experience and check out the wait times. Today may not be the day that you're actually going to the parks, but it'll give you a good idea of which ones are the busiest. You're also going to want to know which rides are virtual queue. A virtual queue is basically just a lottery system where you enter at the beginning of the day, then you may or may not get a boarding group to get on the ride. If you do get a boarding group, you're going to get a number, and throughout the day, they're going to call different ranges of numbers. And at that time, you're going to go to that ride and ride it. You don't know exactly what time that's going to be, but you can kind of guess based on the number that you get. There are 2 rides right now at Disney World that are using a virtual queue. The first one is at Magic Kingdom, and it's the Tron Light Cycle Run. The second one is at Epcot, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Let me make this clear. You cannot use Disney Genie Plus to get on these rides. So the way that you get on them is at 7 a.m., you hop on your app, and you try to join the virtual queue. Another way to get on the ride is to purchase an individual lightning lane. That is basically just buying your way onto the ride. You get to choose what time you return, and honestly, it's a good option if there's a specific time that you want to ride the ride. For example, when I went on my honeymoon, we did the virtual queue and the individual lightning lane for Tron because I knew we'd love the ride, so I wanted to ride it more than once. And I knew we wanted to ride it at night because Tron is such a cool ride. And it's got the lights, and some of it is outside, some of it is inside, so it's a really cool night ride. So, pro tip, if you want to ride it twice, do both. Now that you know what rides you want to ride and what should be a top priority, let's do an overview of Genie Plus. If you're staying on Disney property, at midnight the night of your park visit, Genie Plus becomes available to purchase. Honestly, I always just woke up around 6 a.m. and purchased it, but you can purchase it as soon as midnight the night before. At 7 a.m., you need to attempt to join any virtual queue that you want to get on. That is imperative that you do that first because they run out. Once you've gotten your virtual queue, then you need to go and choose your first lightning lane for the day. I always choose my first ride to be as early as I can, but I also want to get a top priority ride out of the way. So if it ends up being mid-morning, that's okay too. Once you've chosen your first lightning lane, you won't be able to choose your next one until one of 2 things happens. Either you're 120 minutes after the park opens, or you tap into your first lightning lane. After that, you can book a new lightning lane every 120 minutes or every time you tap in. And that's just whichever one comes first. So if I choose my next lightning lane and it's in 5 minutes, I can tap into that one and choose another one without waiting 2 hours. Now that park hopping is back, it's important to note that there's multiple times that you can try to get in a virtual queue. At 7 a.m., you can join a virtual queue from anywhere. At 1 p.m., you can try to join a virtual queue again, but you have to be in the park that your ride is in. Now, if you got on a virtual queue at 7 a.m., you cannot get in the same virtual queue at 1 p.m. In some cases, there's a third opportunity to get in a virtual queue. This one happens at 6 p.m., but it's really only for extended evening hours, and a lot of times that's just for guests staying at deluxe resorts. One more thing to note is that with Genie Plus, you can only choose a lightning lane 1 time per ride. Okay, Now that we've gotten all the rules out there, let's talk about an easier way to do this where you don't have to be on your phone all day. When Dylan and I went on our honeymoon, we used a service called Standby Skipper. And I'll just put this out there, this is not an ad, this is not a paid promotion, we just loved it so much and it was such a good service. It's an app that you download on your phone and you can either pay per day or you can pay for 7 days. If you're just going for one day, it's $25, but if you're going for multiple days, it's $45 for the full 7 days. We only went for 3 days, but we still paid for the full 7 days. I'm going to show you how I used it and the way that seemed easiest for me. The first thing that I did was I went and made my checklist in my phone. I made my list in order of priority. So the rides that I really wanted to get on, I put at the top. Then other rides that I was okay missing, I put towards the bottom. So on our Magic Kingdom day, I had already purchased Genie Plus and I had already purchased Standby Skipper. The way that it works is Standby Skipper gets added to your friends and family list on My Disney Experience. When you want to add a ride to your list, it's called a search. And when you want to add something to your searches, you get a few options. These are time preferences for when you want to ride the ride. I'm recording this in the evening, so it doesn't have all of the options that you would get in the morning, but typically first thing in the morning, you'll have 5 options. It'll say anytime, and that's going to book anytime in the day. The next one is morning. That's anytime before noon. Then you have afternoon. That's anytime after noon and before 4 o'clock. Then you have evening, that's anytime between 4 to park close, and then you have as soon as possible, and that's gonna book it within the next 2 hours, if there's anything available. If there is one ride that you absolutely have to get on, your first choice of the day should be that ride and put as soon as possible, and don't make any other searches until they book that ride for you. Once they book that ride for you, you can add your next 3 or 4 priority rides, or you can add your entire list and Standby Skipper will just continuously book until it runs out. Obviously, they're following the Genie Plus rules, so it's gonna be either every 2 hours or once you tap in, but it's really neat that literally within a couple minutes of tapping in, it would book my next ride and I didn't even have to pick up my phone. You will get a notification on your phone once they've booked your next ride. As Standby Skipper booked our lightning lanes, I went back to my list and I checked them off. That way, at the end of the day, I was able to see how many rides we were able to check off our list. This just makes it easier for you and your family to be present in the park and not have to worry about picking up your phone and booking lightning lanes all day. You won't have to remember all the crazy rules because Standby Skipper remembers them for you. Have you ever used Standby Skipper? Let me know in the comments what you think, or if you haven't, let me know if you plan to try it out. Thanks for watching this video, and if you want to see more travel and theme park related content, head over to my channel and hit the subscribe button. See you in the next one.